Hello, my name is Matthias and welcome to the FPL Scope and my team selection video for Game Week 15. And as always, in my team selection videos, we have a lot of things to get through before we get into my actual plans for this upcoming game week. And this time around, I've swapped around a bit on the order of things because I think it makes more sense this way. So first and foremost, I'm going to talk about my Game Week 14 score, what happened in Game Week 14, or what is currently happening in Game Week 14 as I am recording this before the end of Game Week 14. I'm recording this on the Thursday before the final matches, the two final matches of the game week. But I'm also going to post this video after. So I'm going to do some editing things and I'm going to notify you in the video when I'm going to do some changes to the graphics and stuff to actually represent what happened in the slides that I'm presenting, if that makes sense. But anyways, first and foremost, I'm going to talk about my Game Week 14 score. I'm going to look at my Game Week 14 free hit drafts. So I'm going to do that first before I get to the Manager of the Week. I'm going to talk about the Manager of the Week for Game Week 14, and I can do that already because the Manager of the Week is currently, before the final games, has like a 20 or 30 point lead to the next person, which I'm going to get more into as well. So normally I wouldn't do the Manager of the Week before the game week has ended, but now it's pretty certain that the Manager of the Week is going to be the same manager, or like it's pretty much like 99.9% certain that it's going to be the same manager. But anyways, I'm going to talk about his Game Week 14 and also the manager's Game Week 15 plans, which is also going to be interesting because of one particular reason that I'll get to. Then I'm going to look at my free hit draft for Game Week 15, what I think is the best squad to have in Game Week 15. And then finally, I'm going to look at my own squad for Game Week 15 and see how that compares and what I could potentially do to make things better. But first and foremost, Game Week 14, which is, again, not fully finished yet as of this recording. I still have Joao Pedro left to play in Game Week 14 against Fulham, but that is going to be settled before this video is posted, basically. But as of right now, as of the recording of the video, I have 70 points with the substitutions in of Mykolenko and Fabianski into my squad. And that brings me up to 203k overall, a nice green arrow this week, despite not captaining Salah, which is kind of interesting because that was like the main move this week. But yeah, so I had 70 points and my rank was 203k before the games on Thursday. And afterwards, I'm going to do a snap now. The graphics have changed and now we can see what actually happened. But as of this recording, I don't know what's going to happen. So yeah, I'm oblivious to what my final game week points and current rank currently is. But as you'll see, if you're watching the video, you'll know at this moment in time right now as you're watching. But anyways, when it comes to my game week, first and foremost, there were a couple of rotation things that happened this week. As you can see, my team was affected by this in some ways. Fabianski comes in as my goalkeeper for Sanchez. Sadly, I already knew Fabianski had 2 points when I realized Sanchez wasn't going to play, so nothing gained there. But what I was glad to see was the fact that Gabriel didn't start, but Mykolenko did. And I had Mykolenko coming in for Gabriel, who was not even part of the squad. And during that game, Mykolenko got 11 points from 1 assist and 1 clean sheet for Everton. So that was amazing. Got 11 points from Gabriel not playing. I also had Rico Lewis for City being benched, and he came on as well. But even if I hadn't come on, I would have had Greaves instead with 1 point. So I'm just happy Lewis came on and sort of ruined the game week for a couple of players that probably had better players on the bench that could come in for Lewis than I did. So for me, it was basically equal. Lewis got 1 point, Greaves got 1 point. Didn't really matter. But for a lot of other managers that I'm competing with, obviously, they didn't get more points than what they would have gotten from, or what they got from Lewis in the end. Some people even didn't get Rodgers in, which I'm going to get to eventually as well. But yeah, so defensively wise, Fabianski blank, Lewis blank with 1 point. Mykolenko, absolutely fantastic game week with 11 points. Really happy to see him come in and give me some points. Last game week I started him and he got -1 point against Man United, conceding 4 times. And then against Wolves, they beat them 4-0 all of a sudden. And that was a surprise to me because I started Aït-Nouri. I thought Aït-Nouri would have a good game week because I thought Everton would not be able to score, but they managed to score 4 times against Wolves, which should tell you something about how bad Wolves are currently. And that tells you something about how big of a mistake it was for me to bring in Aït-Nouri a couple weeks back. I actually sold Trent Alexander-Arnold to bring in Aït-Nouri 3 game weeks ago. And Aït-Nouri has gotten 2 points since then. And Trent didn't play in the first game because he was injured. And then he got 8 points. And then he got 6 points now from 2 assists, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I've lost out on that whole transfer ordeal. Not happy with Aït-Nouri, but he still has some good matches left at least. So I'm going to keep him for the time being, but I'm also looking to ship him out once the fixtures dry up. But 0 points again, just not going to cut it against Everton, who haven't really scored at all this season, but then all of a sudden score 4 goals against Wolves. So yeah, really bad from Aït-Nouri there. Then we come to the captaincy decision. I captained Palmer over Salah and didn't really think twice about it either. And I think you've heard that from a lot of content creators this time around. And it's probably just because of the short turnaround and just how good Palmer looked last week as well. He got 14 points last week without being the captain, and the Salah got 13 points. But obviously, if I was true to my own word, I should have just backed Salah the last 3 game weeks. But somehow I ended up getting the captaincy decision wrong every single game week because I captained Palmer in game week 12, and Palmer blanked in a game where he should have had more points, and Salah had a hole, obviously. Then I captained Salah again in game week 13, where Salah once again got double digits. He got 13 points, but Palmer actually outscored him with 14 points. And then I went back to Palmer this time around when Palmer got 7 points times 2, 14. And Salah got a whopping 18 points. So yeah, should have just gone Salah auto captain, and that's what I'm going to do from now on. I'm not going to think about it, especially with Salah in current form. I'm just going to back him, even though Palmer has a more favorable fixture already next week, or at least at game 16 he has a more favorable fixture. But I'm still going to just go with Salah because, yeah, he's undeniable at this point. He's going to get a lot of points, and he's amazing, and yeah, just keep scoring no matter what. So yeah. Then we come to my transfer, which was Bryan Mbeumo out for Jared Bowen, and yes, I swapped out 2 points from Mbeumo, who once again looked pretty terrible, for 2 points of Bowen. But I don't really regret that decision. Yes, the outcome wasn't as I wanted it to be, but I still think Bowen is going to be a good asset. He showed a lot of signs in that game against Leicester that he could get some nice points in the next few game weeks. I set him up for being my team for like 5 game weeks before I probably ship him out in game week 19, Bowen, and I think he can still get a lot of points in that time frame and be amongst the highest scorers in that time frame as well. So yeah. Ended up going with Bowen, and he had several chances, had really good underlying numbers against Leicester as well. Didn't end up getting the points, which is what matters in FPL, but I think the points could be coming eventually. So we'll see if I get proven wrong or right. I think it was a good decision to back Bowen at this moment in time. I thought partly because he was going to get a lot of points this game week, but he ended up with just 2 points. So for now, I got to take the L, but hopefully it will turn into a win eventually. But the other transfer that I was potentially planning to do was Bruno Fernandes to Saka, and that would have given me just 1 point because Saka got 3 points instead. So, and that would have made sure that I had Mbeumo still on my team and not Bruno Fernandes, which I think could be long term. I could potentially benefit from the Bruno Fernandes thing, but we'll get to that more in the plans for the future plans. But yeah, all in all, I think the Bowen move was decent or could be really good still. But obviously, this game week, it was not sufficiently enough for me to be happy with the move as of right now. But we'll see what happens. But what I was happy with was starting Morgan Rogers. I had good faith in Rogers and Aston Villa at home to Brentford. There was some doubts, even for me, that he was going to be benched. I know that's what put a lot of people off of going with Rogers, because before the game against Brentford, Unai Emery basically said that we have to rest Rogers at some point, and Buendia is going to play. So I think that will still happen, but I think that's going to happen now in game week 15 instead, luckily, which is when I planned to bench him anyway. So it worked out really nicely for me that Rogers played, scored a really nice goal, was close to getting an assist as well. Actually got the assist from FPL before it was removed from a clear touch from the defender. I think it was the correct decision to remove the assists as well, even though I had Rogers and it would have gained a lot of points from that. But all in all, he got 8 points, which is absolutely fantastic. Really happy with Rogers all around. I think he's still being undervalued amongst the FPL community. But now I actually think he has some tougher fixtures ahead. But I still think he's a really valuable member of the squad. I have no plans of selling him whatsoever. I think he's a really, really good player. And especially in January when Aston Villa will get a bit of a break from the Champions League all in all, just because there's a break between the group stages and knockout stages. Aston Villa are also most likely going to finish inside the top 8 and be able to advance another round in the Champions League as well. And there will be less matches in January. I think from January onwards, Rogers will be fantastic. In December, he could provide some value at some point, but I think mostly he's going to be on my bench, but I don't really mind because I have a really strong team altogether. So yeah, Rogers in general, just to talk about him a little bit, I think he is still a tremendous asset, and I'm really happy he gained me some points this game week. And not only that, for his goal, he got an assist from Ollie Watkins, who then scored a penalty, which is also huge. Ollie Watkins is a penalty taker now. I guess after there were some misses, Tielemans missed his penalty, for example. A lot of people thought actually Rogers would be the one stepping up, and that would have been better for me if Rogers had taken the penalty and scored, and Watkins would have had another assist, most likely. But in the end, Watkins took it. He scored it as well. It was really close to being saved. It was so close to being saved. Flecken actually got a hand to it. But it was still a decent penalty from Watkins. It wasn't the worst penalty, at least. and it still went in at least, so that's something going for me. So he's the penalty taker now, it seems like, so his value is going to go up. It's huge news for me because Watkins has been a big differential for me for a long time, hasn't really been providing any goods, but I always said that I still have belief in him, especially in these easier matches. And not only that, he got 12 points from 1 goal, 1 assist. He also got subbed off right after the hour mark, which meant that he got another point for the appearances for 60 minutes plus, but he also got to rest. So I think he's going to be playing against Southampton at home next game week, and I think he's going to be another tremendous pick that week. And then after that, I'm most likely going to sell him and bring in someone like Nicholas Jackson or Isak. Still not sure who I'm going to bring in out of those two. And then I'm going to look to bring in Watkins back again, potentially for game week 19 in for Cunha, who's going to get tougher matches from that point on. So yeah, all in all, really happy with Watkins. Really excited to have him in the future as well this season. I think he's going to be an undervalued asset because there are so many good striker options. And I think Watkins is the best out of the rest, apart from Haaland, basically. Him and Isak potentially. But yeah, I might have both of them later on in the season. But yeah. Speaking of Cunha, who I just mentioned a little bit, he had a really disappointing performance again against Everton. I thought Wolves would be the better side in that game. I was clearly wrong about that. They lost 4-0. So Cunha, who was performing really, really well not too long ago, he's still a tremendous player who I really like a lot, and he still has 3 really good matches coming up. But obviously his stock has taken a bit of a hit lately because Wolves are just not looking good at all, basically. But still, he's a tremendous player. I'm going to keep him for the next 3 game weeks when he has really decent matches. And then after that, I'm most likely going to sell him to bring Watkins back into the team, most likely for my team. So yeah, still like Cunha, but yeah, not really the most encouraging the last 2 game weeks. Then we have João Pedro, who I don't know what happened with him, how he played. Obviously, I'm recording this on the Thursday before he actually plays. So hopefully he got like 2 goals against Fulham and he looks amazing, but we'll see what happens there. But you guys watching will know, and on the screen, you should also say how many points he got and how many points I ended up with in total. So yeah, that's basically my whole team. My bench, not really too much to talk about there. Sanchez was auto-subbed off. He didn't play, which worries me a little bit, but I still think he's going to be the starting goalkeeper. I just think Chelsea just gave a chance to some players that normally doesn't play. Like Disasi played, scored a goal and stuff as well, despite not playing at all the last 3 game weeks. So I think it was just like a rotation thing. He just wanted to give some new players a chance, and some Maresca. So I think Sanchez will be fine, but if he is out, that obviously isn't the best for me because I only have Fabianski left to rely on there. But at least I have Fabianski. It's better than nothing. Bruno Fernandes, I think he played in the deep lying playmaker role for Man United against Arsenal. That's not ideal, but I don't think that's going to be the case for future matches. I think it was just like a one-off thing. I think he's still going to play in those offensive positions, but same with Sanchez. Like if this one blip becomes a trend, he's most likely just out of there, and he still might be sold next game week as well. But yeah, I don't really mind Man United players because I think they have decent matches and some good assets. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Bruno Fernandes. And then Gabriel, hopefully, is back ready to play next game week. But yeah, I'm not worried at all, especially with how Arsenal are looking at offensive set pieces. Gabriel is going to be the best defender in the game for the rest of the season, most likely. So yeah, happy with him. And then Greaves finally played again. Didn't keep a clean sheet. Also got a yellow card, so he ended up with 1 point. But at least he's playing again, so at least I have some cover there if I need it. But most likely I'm going to just bench Greaves every single game week. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the game week 14, and what happened in that game week. Or at least what happened until the point that I'm recording this on the Thursday. But yeah, hopefully I got even more points and an even better rank. Hopefully I'm inside the top 100k now, which is a really good position to be in currently. And really happy with the game week all around because I wasn't really too optimistic about the game week, especially after those benchings and stuff where Lewis didn't play, Gabriel was out, Sanchez wasn't playing, and Fabianski came in and stuff. I had some fears, but luckily my Aston Villa boys mostly helped me get a decent game week so far. So yeah, happy with game week 14, and let's move on to my free hit draft for game week 14. This is what I actually thought was going to be the best team to have in game week 14, and that is currently on 62 points as it stands right now. We still have Evan Nilsson still to play, who is playing at Spurs. We'll see what happens there. I picked him over João Pedro for some reason. Not quite sure why I did that, but most likely it would have been João Pedro, and if that was the case, I would have had 8 points less than what I did get with my actual team. But now, as I'm recording this, I don't really know yet how well it's going to do before the match with Evan Nilsson ends. But you guys, again, I'll do this again. now the graphics have changed, and you can see what happened with Evan Nilsson and my final total points. But as of the recording, before Evan Nilsson played, at least I had 62 points on the free hit draft. Like this projected free hit draft, this is not an actual team that I have, but it's just something that I basically made in last game week's team selection video. So I ended up with 62 points that game week, or this game week, before Evan Nilsson played. And that takes the total up to 901 points in the free hits so far this season, throughout the 14 game weeks so far. And that would have made for an overall rank of 94k just about this season, which is okay, decent, not too good considering you haven't limited transfers. But again, it's really difficult to choose, as you saw from this game week, where I didn't have some players that I did have from my own team. That hurt me a bit, mainly Mikolenko basically, who got 11 points that I didn't have in this squad. So yeah, in goal I had Fabianski coming in for Sanchez in this team as well. I thought Sanchez was going to be good, but he was rotated, so unlucky there, I guess. Aitonori, again, just bad backing of him. I just have too much, I don't know, too much honor, and can't really accept the fact that he was a bad transfer, I guess. So I'm just keeping him in the free hit drafts and in hopes that he will get some points. But again, struggle against Everton, where I thought he was going to get a clean sheet against a pretty weak offensive side. Digne against Brentford, conceded a late goal, or second half goal against Brentford. Dumb score, a really nice goal from him. Who's also another player who should be talked about more once Brentford's fixtures get better. But Digne, 2 points, didn't really do much offensively, and also conceded a goal. Wan-Bissaka conceded 3 goals against Leicester. I think that Leicester-West Ham game was just awful to watch as a West Ham fan, and didn't leave me too optimistic before the game week, or after that game, for the rest of the game week at least. But yeah, Wan-Bissaka 1 point, didn't follow up with his goals from the last 2 game weeks. He also played at left wing back rather than right wing back like he has done lately. So yeah, maybe that hampered his appeal a little bit, but West Ham defensively are just nothing to go for. And in this case, I ended up with Fabianski as my backup goalkeeper coming in for Sanchez, and Wan-Bissaka, so doubling up on our West Ham defense. Probably not ideal for the free hit. Salah and Palmer, the same as with my own team. Vice captain Salah, captain Palmer. That was a mistake. Saka with 3 points. I had some, I don't know. Saka was tough to gauge this game week because I could see a world where Saka gets a lot of points against Man United. Could have easily had the assist as well for the second goal, but that was headed back into the box and then into the goal from Saliba's ass, quite frankly. So yeah, Saka could have had more points, but I think he was just like a fail-safe type of guy because I was fearing him, but I wasn't really too excited about him either. And I wasn't really too excited about most of the players in the squad, honestly, because I thought it was a pretty tough game week to free hit in general, and I didn't advise you guys to use your free hit either. I hope no one did, or if you did, I hope it ended up well for you somehow. But yeah. Jared Bowen, again, talked about the disappointment with him in my Game Week 14 score talk. And yeah, could have done a lot better, had some good chances, had some nice assists possibilities, but just the final shot was lacking for Bowen and West Ham in that game. Rodgers coming in for Nicholas Jackson, who didn't play at all. Rotation there. I thought Nicholas Jackson would be a really nice player to have against Southampton, but he didn't play at all. But at least in the free hit draft, I managed to get Rodgers in from the bench with 8 points. Watkins with 12 points as well, and then finally Evan Nilsson, who got an amount of points that I'm not quite sure yet because I'm recording this on the Thursday, like I mentioned a couple of times now. So yeah, but you guys will know how well Evan Nilsson did. I still think Evan Nilsson is a good choice, and he might even come up in the next free draft as well. On the bench, Lewis as well with 1 point as a substitute, and Burgess, who wasn't even in the squad for Ipswich because he lost his place to Greaves. Was just like a placeholder cheap defender to have there in the team in general. So yeah, my favorite differentials this week just went terrible. Nicholas Jackson didn't play, Bowen blanked and got 2 points, and Digne blanked and got 2 points. My defense in general was terrible this week. So yeah, not the best game week for the free draft, but maybe we can do something better next time. We'll get to see the free draft for Game 15 pretty soon. But before that, let's take a look at the manager who actually did really well this game week. The manager of the week in the FPL Scope Mini League. And this is an interesting thing. Obviously, their points so far is 104 points with Solanke left to play. Not sure if Solanke is going to be playing against Fulham. That game has now happened, obviously, as you're watching this. But if Solanke doesn't play, Rodgers comes in. And if Solanke does play, he has a decent chance against Fulham. And let's see the results right now. So again, the graphics should reflect what actually happened, which I can't divulge right now because that's in the future as of this recording. But yeah, anyways, let's go to the manager of the week. And the interesting thing about this manager, as you can see, 0 transfers made, Kwanzaa and Nkunku in the starting lineup, Yeah, there's something weird about this team, and the team's name is actually the No-Brainers. So again, no chips used. Seems to be kind of a strange team for Game Week 14, even though it was a terrific team. And that's because this is basically a zombie team. Like, this is someone that picked out his squad, or her squad. Coco could be a girl. Someone who picked out their squad in Game Week 1, and that squad was meant to last the whole season without any changes, no captaincy changes, no transfers, no chips used, no nothing. And that resulted in at least 104 points, potentially a lot more if Rodgers comes in for Solanke or Solanke played and did well. But at least like triple digits, 100 plus points from a zombie team, which is kind of crazy. Also happens to be the game week where both Kwanzaa and Nkunku started, which is interesting. Kwanzaa did nothing. He got 0 points. But Nkunku managed to get 13 points starting as a striker for Chelsea, and just proves again why Nkunku was such a good pick for Game Week 1, because he is such a terrific player, and if he were to play every single game week for Chelsea, he'd be terrific value. He'd be absolutely fantastic, but he doesn't. But now that he got a chance, 1 goal, 1 assist, almost got even more from the Palmer goal that Palmer stole from him. So yeah, Nkunku, fantastic. Also 2 Crystal Palace players, not really what people are into these days, because Crystal Palace have been a big disappointment so far this season. But before the start of the season, they were a really hyped up team, and a lot of people backed their players. So Munoz, clean sheet, 6 points. Eze, assist, 6 points. Those 2 players actually looking decent going forward as well, which is interesting, I think. We should also think a bit more about Crystal Palace players, because it seems like they've figured something out now under Glasner. They're trying to get their team in order after selling Elise. I think it's a pretty interesting team to follow in general. Also had double Arsenal defense with Raya and Gabriel, but Gabriel didn't play. And with Gabriel out, Mikolenko comes in off the bench with 11 points, which is, again, amazing. The same that happened with my team. And in goal, David Raya with 6 points, getting a clean sheet for Arsenal. I think the double Arsenal defense is fantastic from someone that picked their squad in Game Week 1. They could see Arsenal being a good defense, and that ended up being true as well this game week. And also, Salah, auto-captain. I haven't even talked about the current rank of this team, which is crazy. This is a zombie team, haven't done a single change, and they're ranked higher than me currently in FPL with a current rank of 122k overall, which is kind of crazy. But at the same time, if you think about it, Salah has been, like, if you had just captain Salah every single game week like this manager has, you'd probably have more captaincy points than you actually got if you have switched around captaincy every single game week. I know I would have benefited a lot if I just had Salah captain every single game week and Salah in my team every single game week. But this is just a really impressive zombie squad in general, a Game Week 1 squad. Salah with 36 points obviously as captain, 18 times 2. Saka, who didn't do really well this game week, but has been fantastic earlier in the season. And Nkunku hasn't really done so much, so Nkunku is a bit of a dud for the zombie team. But again, this game week proves why Nkunku was such a highly sought after player in Game Week 1. And yeah, then we get to the attack. Watkins is still a good striker to have. Isak is back in form and is looking like the super before, like, pre-Game Week 1 player that we all thought he was going to be, and the reason why this manager probably picked Isak. And then we have Solanke as well, with Rodgers as the main backup. So that's also a big thing. Like, Rodgers has probably come in at some opportune times this season for this team. So yeah, 122k overall rank, 6,513 for the game week rank as well. You can see the last season rank, 4.6 million. The general ranks has been around 4.6 million, because this is a manager that always does the zombie team, I'm assuming. And that usually relates to ranks around like 4 million overall. But this season with Salah, auto-captain, no Haaland, who's been terrible value for the money that he has been, and has sort of like tricked a lot of people. Apart from the huge start to the season with Haaland, he's been a detriment ever since like game week 5 or 6 this season. So yeah, going without Haaland, having Salah captain every single game week has its huge benefits. And obviously the double Arsenal defense is going to help. Saka as a really good player is going to help. 3 really good strikers in general who've been good at parts of the season has also been pretty good. So yeah, overall, just really impressive from this manager. And also the fact that this manager is manager of the week makes it also a lot easier when it comes to the plans for game week 15, because this is obviously a zombie team. So 5 free transfers, a lot of issues with the squad. Nkunku, Kwanzaa, probably not good long-term fits. All that stuff. Bentley, not the ideal backup goalkeeper. Munoz could actually be really good pretty soon, actually. So I shouldn't disparage Munoz as a pick going forward. But a lot of issues with the team for this next upcoming game week. A lot of things you could be doing, but you're a zombie team. You're in zombie leagues. You don't want to get kicked out of the zombie leagues. Just stay the course, don't do anything, and hope for the best. That's how zombie teams work, basically. So, yeah, this is really interesting to get a zombie team as the manager of the week. Maybe a bit discouraging for a lot of us other managers who are thinking every single game week to do well, and then this manager who has just put up a team that has lasted from the game week 1 until now has a better rank than most of us. But yeah, that's just what happens sometimes, I guess. So, yeah. Just stay the course. You're probably not even watching FPL content. I don't even know how you watch or how you think about FPL during the season if you have a zombie team. Like, do you follow the league like closely? Do you think like you don't have to think about future moves and stuff because you're just going to stick with your team even if you have Kwanzaa now in game week in the Year of Our Lord, game week 15. Even after you dropped from 4.5 to 3.9 in value, you still have Kwanzaa. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting way to play FPL, and I think it's just really cool to have one of these managers, the zombie team managers, as manager of the week. So I don't expect that you watch content because I don't really see why you would, because you don't really need to change anything. I think I would just watch my own team and then see how well it does and be really happy in this case. But if you are watching my content for some reason, then please let me know, because I'd really love to hear from you and how you've handled this season and how, like, if you pay attention at all, basically. And I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you are paying attention for some reason, and I don't really get that. But yeah, interesting nonetheless that a zombie team became the manager of the week. Because, yeah, like I said at the start of the video, it's not even close. Like 104 points. The next manager, I think, had like 81 points in the FPL Scope Mini League. So, yeah, clear cut the manager of the week, even regardless of what happened on Thursday, as I'm recording this before the games on Thursday. But yeah, that was the manager of the week for this week. If you want to be the manager of the week as well, you can join the FPL Scope Mini League with the league code hpxeri. And if you are the manager that scores the highest amount of points in a single game week, you'll get featured in the next, like before the next game week, on a video on this channel or on the FPL Scope podcast that I'll get back to next week. We'll get back to talking with Kevin again for the FPL Scope podcast. It's just been a really busy time, so it hasn't really been working out lately. But next week, that's going to be back again. So Kevin is going to comment on the manager of the week next week, most likely, or next game week, most likely as well. So yeah, that was the manager of the week. Really cool to see the zombie team. But let's move on to the free hit drafts for Game Week 15 and the actual ideal team to have in Game Week 15, in my opinion. So yeah, this is the free hit drafts for Game Week 15. For me, I'm going to go through the team from starting with the goalkeeper all the way through every single bench player. So let's just get cracking straight away. In goal, Andre Onana. I think Nottingham Forest have struggled to score lately. They barely managed to score against Ipswich with a penalty. They needed a penalty to score in that game, and they haven't really scored many goals apart from that either. So I think they're a pretty good team to target when it comes to clean sheets. And I think Man United are actually pretty solid defensively now under Amorim. And I think they're going to keep clean sheets. I think Onana is the best goalkeeper this game week. Simple as that, basically. In defense, Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's going to be a huge player to bring in this game week for a lot of people. I've seen a lot of content creators flirt with the idea of bringing in Trent, and for good reason. Everton, you assume that Everton can't score, but they just scored 4 goals against Wolves, so who knows? Maybe Liverpool will concede in that game. But yeah, Trent just looked amazing last game week. He got a rest. He's going to start this game. He's going to be an attacking threat, so really no reason not to pick him for a free hit draft for Game Week 15, basically. Guardiola as well looked really good offensively. Had 2 big chances to score for Man City, still kept the clean sheet. So yeah, that bodes well for his value going forward as well. Playing against Crystal Palace, another team that struggles to score and managed to score just 1 goal against Ipswich as well, due to Mateta being fantastic. But I think Man City could potentially get a clean sheet here as well, and they might start to turn things around now, City, as we've seen in seasons past. You can't really count them out properly yet, but yeah, we'll see what happens there with Guardiola, who's so offensively minded and is going to score again at some point this season, because yeah, he's been scoring a lot lately or this season, and he's going to continue doing that, seeing how offensively minded he is in general. Then we have Milos Kerkez for Bournemouth playing against Ipswich. I think that's a good fixture to target. I think Kerkez is a really nice player as well. This is a nice jumping on point for Kerkez playing against Ipswich. Easy match, and he has pretty good matches for the foreseeable future as well, so I think he's going to be a good pick. In midfield, Salah captain, just no questions about it. Just go with Salah captain. I know it's 13:30 or 12:30 game kickoff, the early kickoff on Saturday, I know we're going against Gandhi and stuff, but I've captained Salah against Gandhi several times and it has worked out. So I'm assuming that's going to happen again against Everton. I think Liverpool will win that game quite comfortably still. But Everton have surprised me as they did in Game Week 14, so who knows? We'll see what happens in that game. I've also gone with Palmer once again, playing in Spurs. I think Spurs is also a team that you can get a lot of points against. And I think Palmer has shown, even though he got only 7 points, I should be happy with 7 points, but as a captain, that's only 7 points against Southampton. I think he can do similarly or better against Spurs, because I think Chelsea are just in a really good moment in time right now, and Palmer is still at the forefront of everything that they do. And at some point, they're going to get that penalty where he's going to score and get a lot of points from that as well. And speaking of penalties, we have Bruno Fernandes against Nottingham Forest. I can see them getting a penalty potentially in this game, but also I can see Man United being on the front foot and wanting to strike back after that sort of disappointing result, I guess, against Arsenal, but also the expected result against Arsenal. I think now that they have the upper hand, they play at home, they're going to really want to show what they're made of. And I think Bruno Fernandes is actually going to be a really good player to have this game week, which is interesting, the fact that I have him rather than Saka. But that's down to pricing. If I had unlimited funds, I'd probably have Saka over Bruno Fernandes, but I don't have unlimited funds. I have other places to go with this team, other players that I need to have in the squad, I feel like. So Bruno Fernandes is in the team. I still think he's a decent option, but if he plays among the midfield two, deep playing players, I don't think he's going to be as good. And then I get to Jared Bowen. I'm just going to, again, try to back him. I backed him last week. It failed. Wolves at home, after Wolves conceded 4 goals against Everton. It just has to be a good game week for Bowen. He has done well against Wolves in the past. I think he can easily score a goal or 2 in this game at home to Wolves. This is basically the do or die game for both managers. Gary O'Neill might get sacked from Wolves if they lose. Lopetegui might get sacked from West Ham if West Ham lose. So I think this is going to be a pretty crazy game with a lot of goals potentially, with 2 teams that are way better offensively than defensively. So I think Bowen, as the main guy for West Ham, who's also the penalty taker, especially when Paqueta is not playing, he's going to take penalties for West Ham. I think he just has the best value in that fixture. Potentially, it might be Cunha as well. Could have had him in the squad as well. But yeah, I'm just going to back Bowen once again and hope that he comes good this time around, because I really need him to, basically. Watkins doesn't need to come good for this game week after having a really good game week in Game Week 14. But I'm going to back him again against Southampton. Like I said, he was subbed off after 65 minutes. I assume he's going to start again and play at least 60 minutes against Southampton. And most likely 60 minutes will be enough to score 3 or 4 goals against Southampton, as we've seen in the past. So I think Watkins is a really good shout this game week. Also, potentially, if you don't have Salah for any weird reason, if you have something against Salah or Liverpool or whatever, and you refuse to bring him in, I think Watkins is actually the second best captain's option this week against a really weak Southampton team at home at Villa Park. So yeah, I think Watkins is going to start that game. I think he's going to be doing really, really well. And that's why he's a pretty easy pick to have in my team for the free hits, or projected free draft, I should say. But because once again, as I usually say with the free drafts, I wouldn't really free hit unless it's a blank or a double game week, because it's really hard to gauge. Or if you're if there's 5 players you're lacking, and you just need to have use the free hit to field 11 players. That's basically when I think the free hit is best used. Whenever you can get more fixtures played than what you would have if you didn't use the free hit, basically. Evan Nilsson as well, going with him once again, playing as Ipswich. I think that's a really good game for him. I think Bournemouth are in a really good moment in time when it comes to fixtures. I think Ipswich is a fantastic fixture to target. So yeah, I'll go with Evan Nilsson again. And I've also gone with Joe Pedro this game week, because I think Leicester is a team that could easily score against. West Ham should have had 2, 3, 4 goals against Leicester, even with Van Nistelrooy. I think they're still going to be susceptible to concede some goals. They were lucky to get only 1 goal conceded really late against West Ham, and I think Brighton can do really well in this game, and Joe Pedro is the focal point of Brighton with the penalties and all that stuff. So yeah, he's another selection for the starting 11 in this team. On the bench, Fabianski is always as the backup goalkeeper. I know I have Lumley from Southampton as a 4.0 potential differential other goalkeeper at that price, but Fabianski is just a little bit more secure, both in the starting place, because Lumley was god awful in this last game for Southampton, and yeah, I think West Ham are still slightly more favored to keep a clean sheet than Southampton are. But yeah, speaking of Southampton, they play against Aston Villa obviously, and I have Digne on the bench. Could easily started him over potentially Guardiola in the starting lineup, but yeah, I'm just going to back Guardiola as the more expensive player. But Digne is a really nice differential, cheaper defender to have in case someone doesn't play. in this team. So yeah, Digne is first bench. Second bench is Enzo Fernandez, who I just wanted to mention as like a differential player to have. He's only 4.9 and plays really attackingly for Chelsea. Takes corners from the left as well. It's just in really good attacking positions for Chelsea. He's the captain. He plays every single minute. And yeah, has been a surprisingly good FPL pick if you have him for some reason the last few game weeks. And I think that could happen again against Spurs. But again, I have him second bench because I don't really think too highly of that game, and he's still just a backup option who fills in the gap because I don't really have that much money. But I just wanted to highlight Enzo as like a potential FPL option, especially if you are going against Jackson as your striker and you want to double up on the Chelsea attack. I think Palmer and Enzo could be a nice double there. Yeah, so I just wanted to bring up Enzo in general, so that's why he's on the bench basically. Then we have Jacob Greaves for Ipswich, just the cheapest defender that I could have, or I needed the money, so yeah, I went for a really cheap defender who's going to play, and that's Greaves. Pretty reliable as the third bench option most game weeks, Jacob Greaves. So yeah, he's on the bench as well. So that is the ideal team to have in this game week, in my opinion. But I still have 8 out of these 15 players. Some of that is on the bench in Fabianski and Greaves. So I have 6 starting lineup players, the same as this free draft, but I have some differences as well. So let's get into my plans for game week 15 as well before we wrap up the video. So yeah, these are my game week 15 plans, and there's a lot of different things I could do here. I'm not quite sure what to do. I have 2.3 million in the bank and 1 free transfer, and I have a lot of different potential things I can do with this team. But yeah, first and foremost, I'll go through the team one by one. Sanchez in goal against Spurs away, not the best fixture. Not entirely sure Sanchez is going to start either in this game, but if it doesn't start, I'll get Fabianski in regardless. So I still think Sanchez has a better chance of getting a clean sheet than Fabianski, because Chelsea are just a much better team than West Ham currently. So yeah, I'm going to back Sanchez, but it might be Fabianski that comes in against Wolves at home instead. And yeah, Fabianski plays against Aït-Nouri and Wolves, and I'm not going to sell Aït-Nouri and Cunha for this at this moment in time. But I'm not really going to be too enthused about them either. But I have to start Aït-Nouri. I think he's better than Greaves against Bournemouth. I think he's better than Mykolenko against Liverpool, of course, because Liverpool is a team that is expected to score in that game. So I think I just have to start him, and I guess maybe he'll get some points, but yeah, we'll see with him. But sort of losing faith in Wolves and Aït-Nouri, but he has surprised me before, and I think he scored against West Ham before as well, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, Gabriel, still not sure if he's going to be fit to start in this game. For Arsenal, playing Fulham away, I think there's a decent chance of clean sheet, decent chance of scoring, as always with Gabriel, if he does play. I'm hoping he's back and playing, because otherwise Greaves is going to have to step in and be my starting defender this time around, and I don't feel too good about that. So yeah, hopefully Gabriel is fit to start, but we don't really know yet if he's going to be or not. Then we have Rico Lewis against Crystal Palace. Again, not quite sure if he's going to start either. He was rotated last game. I'm hoping it's just because of rest. But seeing as they played really well and won their match 3-0, maybe this spells the end of time for Lewis. And that is why I'm interested in selling him potentially this game week, because I have exactly enough money in the bank to do Lewis to Trent Alexander-Arnold. The downside to that, obviously, is the fact that if I do that transfer, I don't have enough money in the bank to bring in Saka. And I am pondering if I should just get Saka this game week in general, or if I should just stand pat and bring in Saka next game week, and hoping that Fernandes outscores Saka and I'll get more flexibility that way, I guess. So those are basically my 2 transfer suggestions. Like, if I get any indication that Lewis is just out of the team now, he's not going to start, I could go from Lewis to Trent. I could also get someone else. I could go with Jurien Timber for Arsenal and have another Arsenal defender. Could go with that. I could go with Guardiola, just upgrade the City defender, assuming Guardiola is going to start every game now and be a good attacking threat. City are getting really good matches pretty soon as well, so Guardiola could be a good pick. It's just really tough to choose between these defenders, and ideally I'd just have Lewis and he starts every game and I get to have those good City fixtures. But yeah, I might have to sell him this game week. And Trent is looking really enticing as well, especially the fact that I have enough money in the bank to bring in Trent. That is really enticing to me, as he's someone that I want to have long term. But if I do that, I'm obviously locking myself out of getting Saka in the immediate future, because I would have to do some downgrades and upgrades and stuff to be able to fit in Saka. So yeah, it's basically like do I need to get Saka or Trent in my team sort of conundrum that I have, because I think either one of them is going to be in my Game Week 16 team at least. But I might bring in one of them already, or I might wait for Game Week 16 to bring in Saka on top of doing a striker move potentially this game week. So yeah, those are my transfers just in the middle there. I'm going to try to timestamp this in the video so you are able to hear it basically and know my plans when it comes to the transfers. But yeah, when it comes to the midfield, I might start with Fernandes. I might get in Saka, like I just mentioned. I think both are really good options, like I also mentioned in the free hit draft for game week 15. Also, like I mentioned in the free hit drafts, I have basically the same midfield as I did in the free hit draft with Salah, Palmer, Fernandes and Bowen, and I went through that in the free hit section of this video, so you can go back and listen to that as well if you're wondering about each specific player. But yeah, high hopes for Bowen and decently high hopes for Palmer as well. Salah, obviously my captain, have to have high hopes for him because he's just amazing at the moment. He's also really good. Watkins is another player that was in my free hit draft, him alongside Joao Pedro. Both of them were in the free hit draft that I have, and I just explained why I like them a lot. I think, just to recap again, I think Watkins is going to play 60 plus minutes, and that is more than enough for Aston Villa at home to Southampton to get a lot of points. Cunha against West Ham. I'm a West Ham fan, so I'm hoping he doesn't score as a West Ham fan, but FPL-wise, I think he has a decent chance to, because West Ham are just really bad defensively. So ideally for me, this is like a 5-3 West Ham win where Aït-Nouri gets 3 assists or a goal and 2 assists, and Cunha gets in on the goals, and Bowen scores a hat-trick, and everyone walks home happy. That's my ideal thing. But yeah, who knows what's going to happen in that game. I think it's going to be an open game, and I think all 3 assets that I have from that game, Aït-Nouri, Bowen and Cunha, could all do pretty well, and they could all blank honestly as well, like they did this past game week, but we'll see what happens there. Joao Pedro, I think he's a good option against Leicester, like I mentioned previously. I think that's a good fixture in general. I don't think Leicester are that good, even though they beat West Ham now. I think they're still a pretty good team to target in general. So that's basically the team. I'm also benching Rodgers, most likely. I think he's going to be benched for Aston Villa as well. That's just a hunch that I have. If he does start, that's obviously not ideal for me, but I'm pretty happy with all the other attacking players that I do have. I think it would probably be Cunha, I guess, that I would bench. If not, potentially Fernandes. I don't know, but I think I'm just going to bench Rodgers because I don't think he's going to play from start. Might not even come on. Might come on and play like 20 minutes, and then that would be the worst case scenario because he could potentially just get 1 point and block anyone to come in for my team. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the Game Week 15 plans. I'm in a decent position. I'm pretty excited for Game Week 16 because I'm going to be able to do some more fun moves, especially the Watkins transfer out for either Jackson or Isak. I'm really excited to get either Jackson or Isak into the team. That depends, again, if Jackson gets the yellow card and he's suspended for Game Week 16, I'm definitely not going to bring him in. I'm going to bring in Isak rather than him. So yeah, that's something that I have to decide for Game Week 16. Also have to decide if I get Saka in Game Week 16 or if I get him in Game Week 15 or if I get Trent right now and I have to go away from Saka. But honestly, talking about this right now, how good Arsenal have looked lately, the fixtures that Arsenal have, especially after the Fulham away fixture, I'm pretty certain I'm going to still get Saka rather than Trent. But I don't know. Tell me in the comments, who do you prefer, Saka or Trent, if you had to choose one of them, because that's basically the decision that I have. But for this game week, I think there's enough value in just giving it one more game week's worth of time and potentially just stand pat and do nothing. But again, it also depends how good Fulham look. In this Thursday game that I recorded before, I'm recording this before the game that Fulham played on Thursday. If Fulham looked just terrible defensively, then I think I would have to go with Saka already for Game Week 15 because I think that would be a really tremendous game week for him. But if Fulham look pretty good defensively as they have done this whole season, I'm probably going to lean towards just standing pat and potentially getting Saka in for Game Week 16 instead. So yeah, those are basically my plans for this game week, and that's the whole video. About 45 minutes of me blabbering. I'm in a talkative mood today, I guess, because I both recorded the weekly wildcard drafts video, which went longer than normal, and then I talked about the team section this time around, which also went longer than normal. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it anyway. Hope you enjoyed both those videos. If you watched both of them all the way through, then thank you. It means a lot if you're enjoying my content and stuff, and I hope you continue to do that. And I'll see you next time, I guess. That's basically it for the video. Thank you for watching as always. See ya. Bye bye.